Ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube universe, what is going on with you on this Sunday? It is Sunday, November 20th, 2022. I'm, of course, your always gracious host, Fallon from GoNootropics.com, coming at you with the Ghost Energy Chairs. Good to see you guys. We are sipping on a little caffeine. It is 2 weeks into the 30-day no kratom challenge, so this is a little 2-week update for you guys. What is happening at the 2-week mark, baby? Right, 2 weeks no kratom, and I can honestly say the light is starting to crack. It is starting to crack through the rocks. It is starting to crack through the tunnel. You know, you're looking at the end of that tunnel, and finally, after walking days in the darkness, you see the light start to come through. Now, things aren't back to 100%. I would say things are back to maybe 80% efficiency right now within the body, within the mind. Sleep is getting a lot better. The restless legs are getting a lot better. The cravings have more or less diminished to nothing. I don't feel like reaching for the Kraken anymore, reaching for the kratom. Largely, the cravings have dissipated 100%. And that's when you know you're kind of out of the woods. You're going to be dealing with, some lingering symptoms, probably for a while, up to 30 days. Sometimes longer. If you go on Reddit, you're going to be dealing with symptoms for years, according to them, baby. You're going to be dealing with these paws for years, 2 years, 3 years. It's like no hope for you. You go on Reddit, there's no hope. Don't even come off the kratom, because even if you come off, you're still going to be dealing with symptoms years down the road. So it's really all about who you listen to, how much faith and hope you have in yourself, how much faith and hope that things are going to get better for you. Some people just don't want things to get better. They want to stay in the puddle of misery forever, because once you start to say to yourself, you know what, I'm feeling 100%, well, then it's like, what are your excuses? Why aren't you excelling in your life? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? If you're feeling 100%, the human mind can never feel 100%. Otherwise, you got to go out and do some shit, baby. You got to go out and get something done. But as long as you're holding on to just that little shred of misery, if you could mentally draw out the post-acute withdrawal symptoms for years, well, then you don't have to be accountable. You don't have to be responsible. You always have kind of a fallback why your life is a turd sandwich, right? So a lot of people can never admit to themselves that, you know what, I'm not experiencing the withdrawals anymore. I just need a convenient excuse to tell myself so I don't have to go out and just get shit done, right? This is what's going on when you go on Reddit and you see these people experiencing these horrible withdrawals still years out. This is them recoiling. This is them recoiling into the shell, right? They've become this lifeless husk. The kratom certainly inhibited them to some degree, but now that the kratom is out of their life, now it's like you have to, you got to face the world. You got to go out into the world. You got to face the world, and the world's a scary place, isn't it? Going out and getting things done is scary for a lot of people. And why admit that you're scared? Why admit that the reasons why you don't have what you want, the reasons why your life isn't set up the way you want it to, why ever admit that that's because of just you, and that's because of your own internal weaknesses? Much easier to blame the post-acute withdrawal symptoms, right? So you get off kratom, and 2 weeks, 30 days, you're starting to feel good. And then you got to actually face the world. You got to face the world. And if you have an active addiction with alcohol, with one of these other drugs, heroin, fentanyl, maybe something harder, it's almost like, to even begin getting your life in order, to even get on the tracks. It's like if you have an active addiction, just getting off of this thing is like you're just setting the train on the tracks. You're not even moving. Like, that's the bare minimum. Do you realize that that is the bare minimum of what you have to do to get your life in order, is at least get off of this addiction? And at that point, your train is still not moving. It's like, yeah, that's a big deal, getting off of an addiction. And anybody who does should be applauded. But you also have to realize that that is the bare minimum of what you need to do to get your life in order. After that, the work is not done, baby. The work is not done. The work, in many ways, has just begun. You know, it has just begun. You get off an addiction, the work, you still got a lot of shit sandwiches you got to eat. Getting off an addiction, getting off of these things, that it's just one less shit sandwich you got to eat in this world. Right? It's just one less shit sandwich. Just because you get off of an addiction doesn't mean the shit sandwich doesn't still have to be eaten. Your life is going to serve you up shit sandwich after shit sandwich. It's just 24/7. The place is always open. You could always go out to the restaurant of life and eat yourself a nice shit sandwich. And if you don't go to the shit sandwich, guess what? Gets delivered to you, baby. Uber Eats is happy to deliver you a shit sandwich free of charge. So getting off of Kratom, getting off of these things, alcohol, fentanyl, heroin, whatever your vice is, pornography, you name it, there's any number of vices out in the world that you could look at and, say, when is God going to come down and rain upon his judgment? When is judgment day coming for this lost, depraved world? Sometimes I look out into the world and I think, when is God going to come down and rain down his judgment in fiery glory? The other day, me and my girlfriend were cycling along the bike path we have here. And we stopped to eat a hamburger. And we stopped by the beach. I live by the coast over here in California. And we're sitting on this bench. And we're seeing this scene before us unfold. We're sitting kind of up above the ocean. And then down below, it's like this rocky area. And the waves come in. And this is where the seals, the harbor seals come in. And people like to, come to this area and watch these seals. Well, it's an area down below where not a lot of people can get to, but this one girl was down there. And we're watching her. She has no pants on. She has no underwear on. She's wearing a shirt that just barely covers anything at all. She's an overweight girl, I want to say in her mid-20s, and she's down on the beach all bloodied. Her knee is all bloodied. Her ass is all bloodied. She's trying to get out on the rocks. I don't know what she's doing. She's trying to go for a swim or something. She's got blood all over her legs. And next to her is what appears to be some type of homeless man, just this bearded homeless man. I'm thinking it's her boyfriend, but on second look. And knowing what I know now, this was just some guy down there on the rocks with her. The bottle of whiskey is in the rocks. And we're looking at this scene unfold. This girl just making an absolute fool of herself. And we're sitting there at this point. We've eaten our hamburgers and we're just watching this scene unfold. And the guy ends up leaving. The girl starts crying, this and that. And you could tell she's in a really bad spot. She's just in a really bad spot. She's way too drunk to be out there on the rocks. She's falling down on the rocks. She's slicing herself open on the jagged rocks down below. There's blood all over her knees, all over her ass. Her pants are just sprawled across the rocks. And this guy leaves her. And I'm thinking in my head, you know what? Somebody should do something for this poor girl. What is going on with this girl? And then it dawned on me, you know what? Why don't we do something? You ever ask yourself why somebody doesn't do something about something? And then you think to yourself, well, I am somebody. I could do something about this. So I'm talking to my girlfriend. And I tell her, you know what, go down there, help her out, see what's going on, get her pants on at the very least, see if she needs help. So my girlfriend walks down the rocks and is talking to this girl for 15-20 minutes before she finally gets her up and, pulls her up to where she's safe. There's waves coming in. She's on the jagged rocks. She keeps falling down. Drunk people, they're stumbling. She's clearly way too wasted to take care of herself. So I say, you know what, go down there, take care of her, see what she needs. And so she does, and she kind of pulls her away from the rocks and pulls her up to a safe location where my girlfriend is helping her put her pants on. And it's kind of in an area where people are looking, everybody's looking at this scene, but, not doing anything about it, not reaching out a helping hand, not saying, you know what, maybe somebody should do something about this before this young girl drowns in the ocean, cracks her head on a rock or something like that. So she's helping this girl put her pants on. She's very overweight. The pants are wet. This is a gargantuan effort to even get this girl's pants on. And all these onlookers just coming by, just looking at the scene. All these guys looking with their these like shocked faces. It's like they just came out into the world and they're looking at this naked girl. One guy I noticed would like walk away and he would come back and look, and he had this shocked face, like he was so shocked, like he was born yesterday in this world, never seen a naked woman before in his life, just like shocked, just looking at the scene. And it's like, when is God going to rain down upon these people? When is Judgment Day? When are these people going to be wiped out? When are we going to be wiped out? When can we be judged, right, for what we do? It disgusts me the way some of these people just look on, and they just look on. They don't do anything, but it's just like they're observing. I think it's got something to do with the phones, where the phone puts you into this observer mode, where the brain has now adapted to just kind of watching things happen and feeling powerless to really do anything. I think the phones have rewired our brains, maybe to even look onto a situation and think that, well, there's not a lot I can do. I am just the observer in this place. I'm just an observer, just a weak little observer in this world. And that's very much what this guy was. He was a tall guy, pot belly, flip-flops. It's cold out, but he's coming in. He's a tourist. He's got his flip-flops. He's fat, and he's an observer. He's just observing this situation. And so she finally gets the pants on, and now I go over to see if she needs, what does she need? Does she need a ride home? She's drunk, she's cussing, she wants to kiss my girlfriend, she wants to take her home. She's asking me, can I take your bitch home with me? She's trying to kiss her. She's stumbling. It's all we can do to get her to the road, to call her an Uber. And we eventually call her an Uber and get her home. She finally was like, you know what, admitted defeat. She wanted to go out drinking more at the bars. There's cops passing. I'm like, look, you just need to get into the Uber and you need to go home. You need to call it a night. And I told her, I'm like, look, I know exactly the situation you're in. I know, I was there too. And you're trying to encourage these people sometimes, especially younger people, the younger generation, and they're not really listening. They're not really listening. But my girlfriend pointed out a very astute point, and that is that, this situation, us helping this poor girl escape from the rocks and get home safely, this might not be the one thing that really pushes her to change her life, but it will be one of many things that she looks back on and says, you know what, there are people out there that care. This world isn't a totally cold and hard place. And it's just one sentence in the book of her life that she might look back on and say, you know what, they helped me. There are good people out here in this world. And you know what, maybe I can make a change for the good and better myself, better my life, get on some kind of some kind of path that is good, some type of path that's not totally degenerate. And even though that one moment might not change her life, it is a moment that tells her, you know what, she's not totally isolated. We're not isolated in this world. There are still people out there that want to help. There are still people out there that, will come to your rescue if you need it. This is what I noticed with this last car accident I got into is I was surprised at the amount of people that came out to help. 99 people, if you're struggling, if you're going through something, are just going to whiz by you. And, they got shit to do. They got places to go. But a small percentage of people are going to stop and see, ask themselves the question, what is going on? Are you okay? I've called the ambulance. I've called the cops. Let's get you over to the street. Are you hurt? And those people truly make the world go round. And if somebody does that for you, you pay it forward. Remember that movie? Pay it forward. Pay it forward, baby. Pay it forward. And remove yourself out of this degeneracy. Remove yourself out of these active addictions that you have. So, you know what? You don't have to be a total piece of shit in this world. I'm not saying if you're an addict, you're a total piece of shit. A lot of addicts aren't. A lot of functioning addicts aren't. But it does really put you into a place where you're more concerned with feeding your addiction. How are you going to get your next fix? And you become very self-centered. And you break out of that and you start moving up the levels. You have an active addiction. You're not even on the tracks. The train ain't even on the tracks. But you resolve some of these problems, and then at least you get on the tracks. At least you get on the tracks. But you still got to get the train moving. Removing an active addiction from your life doesn't get the train moving, but it does place you on the tracks. So at least you can go if you want. You can go somewhere if you want. If you're under active addiction, perhaps not to kratom, but certainly for alcohol, some of these harder drugs, you're not going anywhere. You're not even on the tracks. You don't even know there's a train that needs to be driven, baby. There's a train that needs to be driven. There's momentum that needs to be built. There are people to help out there. And you know what? And that's, you got to at least get the train on the tracks. At least get the train on the tracks. But on the flip side, if you believe that this world is the sum result of a random cosmic explosion and you just kind of emerged from the cosmic soup, a meaningless random calculation of events, of cosmic events, well then why even put the train on the tracks? Why even put the train on the tracks? That's my question for atheists, is like, why not just do heroin? If all this world is a meaningless cosmic explosion that sprung out from the ether, the nothingness, what's to stop you from, just shooting up heroin for the rest of your life, living a very self-centered life? What's the reason for removing yourself out of a state of active addiction if you can afford your addiction? What's the reason for even doing it if you're just, a meaningless aspect of the cosmic explosion from nothing? What's to stop you from doing really anything? What's to keep you restrained? What's to keep you restrained? What's to keep you from doing good as opposed to doing bad? What is good and bad if we're just a cosmic explosion, a meaningless, random calculation, meaningless calculation of the cosmic soup? What's to stop us from doing anything? Just let the girl drift out into the ether, right? It's meaningless. Whether she lives or dies, it's meaningless. She just goes back into the soil. And the worms eat her, and that's, we just die. And when we die, we go into the ground, and the worms eat us, and rots a ruck, right? Rots a ruck. So why not live it up, baby? YOLO. YOLO. So that is the video of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Fallon, GoNootropics.com. 2 weeks of the 30-day No Kratom Challenge. We are powering through. For those of you still in the challenge, keep the train rolling, baby. Keep the train rolling. And get the train on the tracks, get some momentum, and don't lose hope. Don't lose the fire of the spirit. So that is the video of the day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, I will see you very soon. Peace.